Welcome to LA Chess Club, and this is an intermediate class. Your instructor this morning is National Master Ruben Ondangan, that's me. I would like to show this morning, and the theme of this morning's lecture is about the curious case about knights, right? And based on a game in a Grand Prix attack between me and then FIDE Master John Daniel Bryant. This game was played in 2012 during the, I believe, the Antelope Valley Spring Open. That tournament, I won first place, solo purse, in Antelope Valley, and this was the game, a very crucial game between me and FIDE Master John Daniel Bryant. John Daniel Bryant is now an international master, and to give you a little background about this guy, that was March when we played. By July of that same year, he won the US Open in Washington. So you see how proud I am to win this game against this soon-to-be Grandmaster. Okay? So here is the game. The time control is game 45 with 5 seconds delay. So you will notice that very much depth in the game and a lot of mistakes. But you see, it's still a master against a strong player, right? I won't consider myself a regular master, but this guy is a very high-rated. You know, how many times did you play against a high-rated opponent? Once you see the number, it instills fear in your heart. Oh my God, this guy is 2,400, forget it. You already consider yourself lost. But no, don't ask the opponent's rating. Don't look even at the rating. Don't play the rating. Play the position. Okay? So here is the game. E4, C5. Now, prior to this, 3 months before, during the Antelope Valley Christmas Classic, I played John Bryant also as well. And in that game, I played a very tame type positional struggle, which ended in a draw. This was in December of a Christmas Classic of 2011. Here, I tried to sharpen the game a little bit. So, against a strong player, tip number 1, you play sharp openings. Don't play positional because they're going to squeeze the life out of you, okay? Play something that will sharpen the struggle. So, I play knight c3. Okay, Ruben, you said sharpen it up. Why are you playing slow knight c3? Wait, give me a few moves and I'll show you why. Here, John Bryant played g6. I played f4. Now, here is what we call a formation that is very popular in the English circuit, the Grand Prix attack. Okay, John Bryant played bishop g7. I played knight f3. You know, I still adhere to the principle of developing the knight's first before bishop. Okay, so here, after knight f3, he played d6. Now, one thing, class, that I want you to pay attention is the formation that black adopted in this game. Here, we notice the bishop was developed on g7. The pawn was erected on c5, supported by the d6. We now have what we called a dark square strategy by black. Now, this is a very solid setup, especially against a 2,400 player. Their plans are already laid very clearly, right? That's very noticeable how these strong players really play their chess. They stick to their plans. So that's good. After d6, you notice also that he is reluctant to develop his knight first. And why is that? Now, for example, if instead of d6, black played knight c6, black is trying to avoid the arrival of the bishop on b5, which is not really a big deal, right? It's not really that problem. But, you know, he tried to neutralize or minimize the number of options white has at his disposal. So this is another line. And by the way, I played this line in both colors, white and black. Bishop b5 was played against me by women FIDE Master Simone Liao in 2012, I believe, Metropolitan Open. So here, the featured game today is he played d6, and I played bishop c4. Now, you will see here a very nice coordination of white forces. Am I right? Kingside forces are already out, and in one move, white is ready to castle. So after bishop c4, only now did black develop his knight on c6. Okay, he avoided the bishop b5 line. But actually, between the two, this one is the more dangerous, the bishop on c4. Why is that? Remember before a game class that there are two weaknesses in both camps. For white, it is the f2 square. For black, it is the f7 square. Now, you will notice here that the bishop is already directed towards the f7. Am I right? The knight requires one move to add pressure to f7. The f pawn is already up so that in due time it could go forward and create a further attack on the f7 square. Is that clear? So all of these plans are placed together by white, and you will notice how the game actually played by itself. The white's plan is just simple barbaric chess, right? Caveman attack. Okay.
So the f2 and the f7 weaknesses, those apply before you castle, right? After you castle,
before you castle, it is more. It is the time that is really very weak before black or white either castle. f7, f2 square, very weak. But once white or black already castle, the effect of the f7 and f2 weakness diminish. Right? So, okay, here, after knight c6, white played d3. Now here, there are several ways to play this position. One, that is recommended by the book, is for black to play e6, neutralize the bishop. And then the knight on c6 will be complemented by a knight on ge7. At the same time, it erects a barrier to prevent further f5, the pawn arriving on f5. So it's a very good plan, actually. It's actually advocated by a lot of very strong players. Karyakin, for one. Who is that? Boris Gelfand played this as black. These are their antidote against the Grand Prix attack. Okay, after e6, white, what should you do here in this position? Anyone? Everybody is out. Castle. Very good. Principle of opening play, do not neglect them. Control the center, develop the pieces rapidly, and put your king into safety. Oh, I'm sorry. This pawn is here, e6. Okay, and then white castle. Now here, black continue with his plan of knight ge7. Now, here, class, I want you to pay attention that black is not simply developing his forces and preparing to castle. There is a plan here involved. And that is maybe not castle, but play d5 and neutralize the bishop furthermore. And you will find that the bishop is suddenly biting on granite. There's a wall out there. That's impossible to break. And that was the plan. And so here, you have to find a move that will cross out black's plan of creating a phalanx of pawn in the center by d5. And at the same time, the move gives your pieces an access to an attacking square. Can you spot the move? Here, this move was, I believe, first played by Viswanathan Anand when he played Queen e1. The move is multi-purpose. It gives the queen access to a better square here in case black castles. The queen also prevents d5. How so? For example, now d5 and black simply lost a pawn. You notice this? Capture. And if captured by a pawn, black recaptures either by a knight or a bishop because, why? We have a direct fin. Very subtle, very tricky, right? So you see, a move has to become considered excellent or good if it comprises of not only one idea, but a few of them, at least two, right, or more. And then the move is considered good. So you see here, white's position is in harmony, coordinated properly. Okay, so here, May you suggest a move for black? All right, you notice here that, there's nothing much choices. A6 maybe. Here, Karyakin plays H6, delaying his castling privileges. But in game 45, it seems like the most natural move here is just simply castle, right? Why not? He can. And now, the move D5 is again refreshed. It's now reintroduced in the game, the idea of D5. All right? Before black could actually play his plan, white suddenly unleashed the fury and the potential in his position. This move actually caught FIDE Master John Bryant by surprise and actually cost him a lot of time. In a game 45, the object of the game is to create problem to your opponent, right? Anyway, that is the object of the chess game, actually. The more you cause problem, the more that you cost them time. And time is of the essence when in actual tournament play. So here, can you find a move that is really problematic for white? It actually opened the floodgates of heaven. Right? You like that, huh? I believe my famous phrase there on YouTube is the opening the gates of hell. There you go. Well, here.
How about
Knight G5 requires preparation because after, for example, H6, now we really have to go back. Right? So, if we bring our queen to H4, can I just capture the horse? And we lose a horse, right? So the idea is good, except that it needs quite a bit of preparation, When you find an idea, make sure that is properly timed. When you play it, it should be properly timed and requires a lot of assistance from your other key players. So here, who said that? Very good, F5. So when I said opening the floodgates of heaven, you open the bishop. And if he captures, the bishop will be open. And here is a dilemma. How should black recapture? And what should black do? It becomes a very problematic position. Although the computer will say this is very good for black. Forget the computer. In an actual tournament game, you cannot even consult them. All right? So here, the computer will say this is plus for black. Okay, that is easier said than done. Am I right? Because here, there's two ways to capture. Capture here, both of them are evil. Which is the lesser of the two evil? I don't know, maybe all of them are evil. So you see, if I capture with G, the whole king side is compromised. If I capture with E, not only one bishop is open, the other bishop is open. It's like a Scud missile and a Patriot missile all facing in Iraq. Correct? So this is the danger that black is facing. After probably 15 minutes of thinking time, John Daniel Bryant decided to capture with the e-pawn. Good, he is up a pawn. Right? But here, in an actual chess game, you have to set aside your material ambition and have to play for the initiative or attack. Okay? You put the material desires in your heart on the back seat and go for the object of the game, and that is mate the opponent's king. Okay, after EF5, what is your follow-up, Ruben? Anyone? Do we recapture? If we recapture, we surrender the center. He can pose either a knight or a bishop, and black is well and okay. Am I right? You see here, his pieces are also active. Your idea here as white is you keep your opponent's pieces bottled up. One curious case in this position is what I mentioned earlier, the curious case of the knights. It was Boris Spassky who mentioned that knights are at their weakest when defending each other or when complementing each other. And why is that? These two horses are stepping on each other's hooves. In other words, one wants to go to another square, but the other one is there. and back and forth. And so, at first glance, it looks like it's well posted, but actually they are stepping on each other. I want to go there because here, the knight cannot go here because the knight is there. And another knight has no time to go here, and it requires time for them to be mobilized. So here, white have to strike while the iron is hot. Okay? At the thick of the battle, white found queen h4. Here is another problem in chess. It introduced your knight g5 idea. It introduced the arrival of the bishop here, which exchange a bishop. Now remember here, class, in a pianquero position on a king side where the king is castled, the most important piece for black is bishop on g7 here in this type of formation. Now it is one of white's plan to get rid of this bishop at all costs. And one of the ideas here is bishop g5, bishop h5, h6, knight g5, even bishop g5. There's several ideas introduced in the arrival of the queen on h4. Very dangerous. I don't know about you, but here, if I'm black, I start to feel afraid. Because all of these pieces, the f file is open, the bishops are open, the knight is about to jump, the queen is right there. So everybody is against me. You and me against the world. Right? What do we do? So here, what are black's options in this position? He can't play h6 because it will just be captured. Right? Like what I said, the knight has no place to go. He can't go to d5. The knight is blocking the the square c6 because there's another horse in there. So what to do in this position? If he recaptures, for example, he captures here, what's going to happen? You can simply recapture back, and now everybody's open, including this f file. Right? It actually adds injury to insult here in this position if you capture in the e. And so here, swallowing his pride, I believe black, Daniel Bryan said, maybe I should play h5 here. That's the only move he can and see. And actually, it's one of the only moves in the position. I don't see anything else. h5 to prevent the h7 attack. Okay? Now here, we introduce another piece into the game. How is that? After h5, our idea of bishop h6 was ruled out. Our knight g5 idea won't work anymore because the h is already made it to the fifth rank, correct? There's no attack on h7 anymore. But we have another third idea, and that is the pin. Now, how do you like white's position here against a FIDE Master and future Grandmaster? Right? It's very beautiful. It's picturesque. Right? The coordination of white's forces generate a very striking, very beautiful coordination of forces that I wish, or you wish, that you could always play like this. However, your opponents are not very accommodating. That's the problem. Can you be nice to me this time? You know. So bishop g5. Right? You see the pin. Now let me tell you the curious case of these knights. Because they cannot move, white took advantage of their weakness. Now, it is not me who said that they are weak. It was Boris Spassky, who was a former world champion. I believe he has something to say every time. He's not a world champion for no reason. Right? So, bishop g5, black step out of the pin with queen c7. Now, you see the queen's position there is a little bit forced. Because where else can the queen go? d7 blocks it. Queen b6 left this knight and free because it's under attack twice. Queen e8 doesn't look very appetizing as well. Correct? It's blocked. It's kind of clogged the back rank. So queen c7 is the most likely candidate. However, you will notice that there's possibility for white for knight b5, knight d5 later on, and drive the queen away, gaining an important tempo once again. So here, class, after queen c7, what should white play? The book recommends here, believe me, this is still in the books. Can you? The book recommends rook A, E1. Now I missed that move, okay? Instead I play my desire to get rid of this bishop, because you see, this is the strongest piece on the board. It coordinates properly with the knight on C6. So I played bishop F6. Right? After bishop F6, remember, black is still up a pawn. He said, when you are up material, what do? Try to minimize the damage, exchange as many attacking pieces as you can. All right? So that you neutralize your opponent's initiative. And that's a very good something, what you call that? Something to think about every time, or a tip. Rule of thumb: exchange opponent's forces, especially their attacking ones. This is a very menacing bishop here. He wants to get rid of it. Understandable. Here, if you are the attacker and your opponent wants to get rid of your bishop, and here I said, if I just capture bishop takes e6 and fe, the rook on f8 will be open, and suddenly my attack will disappear. It will vanish into thin air. All right? And see here, I have to find a compromising move. Now, considering the time of the chess game, game 45, at this time, Daniel Bryan is probably 15 minutes now in his clock, down on his 15 minutes or less, I believe, if I still remember properly. So I play a knight d5 move. The idea is, if he captured my bishop, I can recapture with a check. That's one. However, and if he capture with a knight, knight takes knight is bad because, why is that, class? Knight takes knight, pawn takes, and black simply loses a pawn. Of course, for his caliber, he won't allow this. So, now against your opponent in your actual chess game, you always expect the best from your opponent. Don't think that they will play a mistake. Don't even hope for them to make blunders. Don't even think about that. Always expect the best from your opponent, so that when they play something bad, you're already in tune your mind that, okay, that's a bad move, and you already know what to do, and you can take advantage of it. Okay, always expect the best, but prepare for the worst. Okay, because your opponent, remember, is not a PD or IM for no reason. So here, instead, he captured with the bishop. Now, how should I recapture here? Now here, it's probably against all general rules. The proper capture maybe bishop takes and keep your bishop open. However, based on the circumstances, I said, let me create a problem, even though I will compromise the position of my bishop. I capture with the pawn. Now you see, this looks ugly. All right? But what happened is, if the knight moves immediately, that other horse drops. You see the curious case of the horses? Curious case of this knight. And what did I gain after compromising my bishop's position? I gained an e-pile. All of these things are temporary. So here, black have to capture. Bishop takes f6. Okay, one of our earlier plans is to get rid of the bishop. It now happened. It materialized. So now, after queen takes, the knight can't really move without fearing the loss of the other horse. However, where should he go? He said he's already up a pawn. 2, 4, 6, 8. 2, 4, 6, 7. Let me up the ante. And he played knight b4. He's threatening to capture a second pawn by knight takes pawn. Am I right? You notice here, until the middle game, the horses are still complementing each other. However, on a deeper look, they are actually stepping on each other's hooves. So after RAE1, here, the knight is under attack. However, John Bryant is itching to get rid of this pawn. The correct capture is this knight to capture this pawn. I mean, this knight capturing this pawn, because if you capture with this pawn, with this knight, you attack the queen, correct? And if I capture with the bishop, knight takes, and black is actually 2 pawns up, and he's winning. And here, maybe because of all the problems that you set your opponent, you will think that any capture is fine. We're wrong, because here is one of those cases where the wrong horse, the case of the wrong knight. So here, instead of knight takes, he captured with the other knight. Now, Ruben, what makes this capture wrong? Anybody? Now you notice that this knight is far advanced. Imagine the location of the knight from here to there. Curious case of this knight, right? It's amazing. But that is the theme in this game. How throughout the end they are actually trying to step on each other's hooves. Queen is under attack. If he captured this way, that would have been better, because the knights are far from the enemy pawns. Here, you will notice that because they are complementing each other, if I kicked one will be left unattended. Am I right? For example, A3 and C3 is introduced in the move later on. So, after queen G5, now, you see here the game actually is going through stages where white is transferring the game from center to queen side to king side. Okay, there are several focal points here, class. At the same time that you are worrying about these horses that running wild in the position, you are also concerned on how to checkmate your opponent by penetrating the heart of the position that is closest to the enemy king. The absence of the dark square bishop created a real hole in the position, a void that white can fill up and probably create a checkmate. So you see here, if black moves the horse, he said, time for me to get out of this bad place before he get me kicked out. There is suddenly queen takes. You see that? How these horses are stepping on landmines. Okay? And he has to be careful in dancing tango here. Okay? So here, that's not possible. The knight cannot move. And so here he has to hurry himself to challenge the very strong location of the white queen. Right? For the meantime, the horses are frozen where they are. None of them can move. Curious case of the knights. Where should the queen go? Do you exchange? No way, Jose. Why is that? When you are an attacker, you have to keep your pieces alive. You have no use for dead soldiers. Keep them alive. Queen, h6. Penetrate just very close to the proximity of the enemy king. Can you smell checkmate? It's very dangerous. This position is... and with probably less than 10 minutes left on his clock, it's impossible to find all the good moves. They just have to find the natural ones. He found queen f6. All right. After queen f6, do we play queen knight g5 and threaten checkmate? No, because that is easily parried by queen g7 and the mate disappear and your queen is trapped and you have no choice but to exchange. And by the way, black is 2 pawns up. So you hear, time for our focal point from king side. Let's go back to attacking these horses that are running wild on the other side of the board. Which move? c3. Now, you see here, we went back there on the right time, not immediate. The reason we're combining a lot of attacks in the position. King side to checkmate the king. Queen side to win material. here in the form of horses. The knight can't move because this other knight drops. Okay? So here, he found a very strong move, b5. Very good. It's called, let me return one of my pawn investment to you. Here, take it. Because your pawn move actually create a dilemma for me on what to do with my horses. Curious case of the knights. Here, the correct move should be simply bishop b3. But here I said an opportunity for me to regain one of my pawns, so I captured. That is probably inaccurate. And the reason this is inaccurate because now you can play rook a b8, and if I capture, he will capture, and everything is, should be fine. But here another curious fact is this withdrawal of the knight, a backward move, knight c7, and suddenly he untangled his horses, right? So that is the idea of b5. There's two response, ra b8 or this even more stronger knight c7. However, Bryant saw probably I don't know what he saw in the position, but he went straight into the enemy territory. The cavalry jumped forward and said, let me attack you with my two horses. Since you've been bothering my horses, let me make my presence felt in the position. Knight c2 attacks the knight. He probably didn't see that there's a queen controlling this square. Because after rook e2, that knight is doomed. Alright? Where does it go? Now he noticed that there's no way to get out of this predicament. Knight c7 now, simply bishop c4, ra b8 probably is best, but bishop c4 as well. And one of the horses will disappear off the board. So he play after knight c2, rook e2, knight c to e3. And here you are given an opportunity for two-piece 4a. Of course, no second thought. You don't waste a second. Let me capture it. Knight takes, queen takes. His idea is, okay, I finally got rid of my troublesome horses. They've been causing me a lot of problem. They don't want to coordinate. These two horses are against each other, right? They're like Trump and Hillary Clinton right there. These horses. I don't know what's wrong with them. So, I'm just joking. So, queen takes e3. ra b8 was played. Okay, where should you go? Let's go back to our beautiful juicy square, bishop c4. Oh, you will notice here, from here on, from the opening all the way to the end of the game, you will see that this bishop always go back to this square. It's probably annoyed my opponent so much. This is driving me nuts. The bishop has to find its perch on c4 for the rest of the game. RABA after bishop c4, the correct response is rook takes c2. However, John Bryan wants to mobilize all his forces finally for them to see the light of the day. This rook has been on the defensive. Finally, he was able to mobilize them. A good idea, especially if you are less than 8 minutes on the clock. Queen to d2. Played king g7. Okay, let's neutralize the b pile so that we only have to worry with one pile. You see, your opponent's rook have piles. The rooks, they want open piles. Okay, the knights, they want outposts. The bishop, they long for diagonals. So give them what they want. Otherwise, they will be bored, nothing to do, and they will find themselves ineffective. So here, b3 neutralize the b pile. Now we only have to worry with one pile. However, here, this soon to be grandmaster, find a way to really create enough counterplay on the g file. And I thought I'm in the verge of losing this game. It was a very scary situation. So after b3, he played f4. There goes. Whew. that pawn advance really is something, because now I start seeing R E3, the other rook coming in. I said this guy is an FIDE Master and soon to be Grandmaster, and he's really showing his stripes here. It's a very good counterplay. I was afraid for a moment. I said, what happened to all my advantage? See, you cannot really play little quiet moves. Probably the culprit here is, I don't know, maybe B3? How else should I play the position? So upon examining, I said, I believe the position requires it, or it is demanded by the position for me to play B3. But he always finds way to liven up the game. So after F4, I played H4. Because why? This pawn is coming up. If I don't prevent it, I will be swarmed by these little black ants coming forward with this control of the E file, and it will be a very good counterplay for black. So, what should you do? Prevent your opponent's expansion program. H4. Creating also an outpost on G5. Okay? So after H4, black played RE3. Very threatening. Next move. Your next move is connected from your previous move. Our previous move was H4. Our next move is Knight G5. Now we have finally shown something again in the position, this time the attack on the F7 square. Now remember, in the opening, that bishop was there. Until now, it's still there and still creating threats in the position indirectly. Here, the correct move is RB7. Protect the F7 pawn, correct? Here, John Wright disregard the attack on the pawn and said, I will continue my program of controlling the E file. So he returned another pawn to me. So after bishop takes, now I got my pawns back. Now the number of soldiers are equal. However, the number of pieces favors white. Why? Materially, we have 5 plus 9 is 19. We have 9 plus 5, 14, plus 3, 17, plus 3 is 20. So materially we are mathematically. But that's not how you really evaluate a position. The true evaluation is are they on the optimum square? Are they exerting pressure? Are they part of the game? Right? So here, yes, these pieces are part of the game. The queen was neutralized for a moment. After RE5, there is a threat of rook takes knight, and we drop a piece. What should you do? Like what I mentioned earlier, the bishop will find itself going back home to its beautiful, juicy spot. Bishop H4. Bishop C4, I'm sorry. RE2, here you go. Rook on the 7th rank, 7th heaven, they said. Very dangerous. After queen to C1, I am now afraid of maybe queen rook takes and then double rook on the 7th rank. You see,
Problem is you can't take F4 with the queen.
That's what I did. After queen C1, he can go there. So, queen takes F4 is what I played in the game. Actually, was reputed by RF5. Not probably reputed. It still have an advantage for white. However, this is more scary because now, where should the queen go?
It's got to go to C1.
Go C1, and after this dangerous looking RF to F2, I almost got a heart attack. I almost fall from my chair, from where I'm sitting, and start perspiring. I start perspiring, and you see blood, sweats, and tears are already in my system at this moment. I said, what happened? Earlier I was winning, now I'm getting checkmated in 2. 1 and 2. What should you do?
Bishop d5.
Keep your head on top of your shoulder. Okay? Keep your eye open, focus, and don't lose hope. Good thing there is this bishop. We love this bishop, right? This bishop has been helping us all this time. Bishop d5. After bishop d5, thank goodness for that bishop, he played rook c2. Probably rook takes a2 is better, but he wants to remove the c3s so that there will be sole possession of the diagonal. Where should the queen go, class? e1. Attack the rook. Forcing an exchange because the rook cannot avoid it. Queen is pinned. So this is a forced exchange which favors who? Yay, it favors us, white. Queen takes. Oh, I'm sorry. What happened? This is the position. Rook takes. Queen takes. Now, can the queen avoid the exchange? It could be mated if he avoid, for example, e5, queen f7, and queen h7 mate, correct?
What if you play queen to e7?
If queen e7, that's but you know the exchange.
Yeah, you just
Knight e6, knight e6 check, and the exchange. Even queen f7, just go for the exchange because you're 2 pieces against the rook. So instead, he captured queen takes f1. After here, rook takes c3. What should you play? Let's go back to our favorite square. Now this move is already driving my opponent crazy. Right? It's very annoying at this point. I mean, how many times do I have to go back to that square? And my opponent just looked at me and said, "You gotta be kidding me. That bishop again." He said d5. And after capture, of course, bishop takes. Rook takes. Let's go back again, bishop c4. And after rook d2, attacks. And after a4, now you see here the position is already, it will win by itself. You notice that. That's easy win. This will drop. It's impossible to protect this. Knight e6 is coming, or knight e4, and this one will drop. And this is an easy win game. And after a few blitz moves, John Bryant eventually resigned, and that gives me the title of the 2012 Antelope Valley Spring Open Champion. Okay, so this is the first game. I'm planning to give to you 2 games this morning.